Certainly, confusion is a prerogative of an individual. So I think we can let them to have that. Now, I think let's look at it slightly differently. I think the whole, I mean, we are our ambition to go to UAE is to primarily address the demand supply gap in the GCC market. This, I think, is our primary objective. And right now, we are not able to fully serve the market there for a variety of reasons. We are addressing them one by one. For example, our PGP is not accredited in the UAE region so far, and we are trying to get that process done. So once that gets done, I think our ability to attract the local people will become very reasonably high. And we see this as a gateway and a final way of getting into GCC and African countries as we go along. Now, that is therefore the Dubai commitment is a long-term commitment, and it is a very deep commitment from the institute side. The way to see this is like, the Dubai program. For example, in the early days, I know that several students several PGP students, when they graduate from here, they went and worked for a company in the GCC region, primarily because the job opportunities were better paid. And some of them saved some money. They worked for 5 years, 10 years. They saved some money, and they came back and started their own company with that capital. Now, message is twofold. One, there is clearly a need for talent in these countries, and if you provide the talent, it will be rewarded with an appropriate compensation, and then people can use this as a starting point and do whatever they like as they go along. And also, please let's realize, like, 1/6 of the world population is in this area, and these are all very oil-driven economies, and they have their own. They excel by service delivery. The financial services are very good. They deal with logistics. They deal with trading. I mean, these are very new areas of expertise which we need to develop, both as a faculty as well as an institution. So therefore, the idea of going there is to to try and ensure that we offer a PGP program where the talent is comparable to what is available in IIM Indore, but sensitized a little bit to the local requirements. For example, in the PGP RAK, we have done an elective on Islamic culture. We have done a special course on Islamic banking. So the idea was to try and build these things so that they are readily employable there. Now, in my own opinion, Bombay will grow as a center very rapidly. Of course, it will never be larger than Indore because of Bombay being Bombay, space constraint, this and that, etc. But I think Bombay, we are seeing this as a very seamless way of connecting IIM Indore to the commercial world. And therefore, financial services, investment banking related areas, consulting, FMCG marketing will play a very dominant role in the way in which the Bombay program shapes up. Now, while these programs are new, our commitment to these programs is very high. For example, we fly down faculty members from IIM Indore or Bombay every week to UAE to teach in the program. It is not that we are doing it with less seriousness. The seriousness is exactly the same. The course designs are the same, and the same is true with Bombay. At any point in time, 2 or 3 of faculty of IIM Indore are in Bombay, and they continue to teach. And we also see this presence in Bombay, presence in UAE will also enable us to attract faculty members to join us. Now we are looking at situations where the faculty member may be at IIM Indore, but he may be located in Bombay. He is on the rolls of IIM Indore, but may be located in Bombay. So this gives me a huge advantage in terms of tapping the talent available in Bombay. I think it's a kind of a symbiotic relationship. Now you make one move, the other move happens, and they work together, and then we build an institution which is probably outstanding. This, I think, is the philosophy behind it. I think if everything goes well, we must also look at East very carefully. We must look at East a little bit, and we must probably look at a little bit of, let's say, American, not exactly the American continent, but at least the Eastern Europe. We must have some presence as we go along. I think we'll get those things done as we go along.
Yeah. Right.
So, all right. If you take, that's a very easy question to ask. And also an easy question to answer. Well, a good professor is a good student too. If you are not a good student, you are not a good professor. And a good student is one who constantly learns. And therefore, my own sense is I think Ahmedabad has been 30 years of very homogeneous life. I had a great company of outstanding students, wonderful colleagues, and my own way of doing things, etc., etc. I think what I learned in IIM Indore in the last 3-4 years is probably lifetime learning. And I mean, there are a number of things that probably might not have come in the way of my own reflections, my own thinking, if this Indore opportunity has not come through. So I think this administration opportunity has been a fascinating learning opportunity for me. And the depth and the coverage and the kind of issues that I dealt with and I am dealing with, I think is phenomenally exciting. And therefore, I would say the professor in me is actually put in practice, because in terms of learning, in terms of making an impact, in terms of making a change, and I think it's very, very exciting. Nothing like hands-on. So I think it's amazing.
If
It's
you
very
would.
simple. I'll be very candid. Like, the most difficult thing is bringing about the change in the people's mind, especially like, when people are not necessarily very competent, when they are not committed, it becomes very difficult to deal with that. Like, therefore the biggest change is, I always admired about the challenges of excellence, but I think I understand the power of mediocrity in the current role. I think people don't want to change for a variety of reasons, and this cocktail of like mediocrity plus hypocrisy is a very wonderful cocktail, and I think one has to work on it very slowly, systematically, and surely. Sometimes you'll have to manage that situation. There is not much of a choice available, but I think is the biggest challenge. I think, yeah, sure, change management, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think I don't want to talk about my achievements, because that I think time will speak, and also as we go along, the institute will speak for itself. What was the second question? Like, you said.
So, what is your vision for the
If
institute for the next 5 years?
so vision for IIM Indore has to be a collective process. Like, I think we have articulated that to the extent that is possible within the system. And my own sense is like, yeah, a couple of years before we said we must be in the top 5 in India. I think we are somewhere there. Sometimes we are less than the 5, sometimes we are 6, 7. So it depends on what happens, etc. I wouldn't say that we are consistently in the top 5, but I think we are getting there. We will get there. And my redefined vision would be, well, I think we had articulated it very carefully in the context. The first and foremost one would be, we must have a dominant presence in every segment. The second objective would be, vision for IIM would be, it should evolve as a business school with a very strong social sciences setting. And the third objective would be to sort of create socially sensitive. There are a whole range of issues which are very unique to India and developing worlds, or this part of this kind of a world. I think our ability to create knowledge and address those issues through action research would be dramatically important. That I think would be the third part of the larger vision that we want to build. But on operating level, I think in the next 5 years, we must be in the top 20 schools in at least Southeast Asia.
Right.
That's the minimum that we should do.
Right. Sir, the one thing that has been bothering a lot of students for the last couple of years, and even the ones who are going to enter any B school in India, is all the B schools in India have ramped up the fees, the tuition fees, and the total cost. And most people seem to have very high EMIs now. Probably, the salaries probably have not grown up in the same proportion. Sir, for example, I'll just give you a small case study. So if someone has, say, a in-hand salary of about 85 to 90,000 rupees, graduating from one of the top schools in India, and the person also gets married, say, in 1 year after that. So he's looking at an education loan of, say, 25-30,000. Then you're talking about staying in cities like Mumbai, where the rent on an average is about 25-30K. So. Right. It is far more difficult to even take risks in life. So in terms of the number of people who want to enter entrepreneurship, take up entrepreneurship, or look at joining, say, a small and medium enterprise, which is probably more satisfying, but may not be offering the same amount of money. So people kind of are getting trapped in some kind of a circle where they're constantly repaying a loan that they have taken.
Sure.
So what are your views on this? Just wanted to understand.
No, certainly. I think what you're saying is real, and I don't think we can easily wish away from this. I don't want to prescribe for everybody, but at a very lighter vein, if you are getting married, you can as well get married to another PGP so that the burden is relatively less, or the scale problems and scope problems get resolved in its own way. That I think is, I'm not suggesting anything, but that's an option that I think everybody should seriously look at. Then the rental value will not become double. So to that extent, I think the EMI will become a lot more easier to deal with. That I think is one part of the story. I think let's put things in a perspective, like is there a pressure on the students to seek jobs which are high paying because of the loan, and loan is a consequence of the fee? That I think is a substantive issue that you're talking about. From IIM Indore point of view, we have frozen our fee for the last 2 years. We have not increased our fee. So it remains the same for the last 2 years, and probably it will continue to remain at least for one more year at the same level. Therefore, we are not even correcting for inflation. And therefore, I think to that extent, I think all that you are saying may not be applicable exactly here. That's point number one. Point number two, see, this EMI need not be resolved. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that financial security is important. Financial liabilities will create certain kind of a pressure on people. I'm not disputing that at all, and I think I'm completely in agreement with that. But my own sense is the best of the places, the education loan, the payback period for education loan is roughly about 18 to 24 months. Or in the stretched out case, maybe it's about 30 months. So that's the kind of payback period that one is looking at. So long as the numbers are in that region, I think it should be okay. The way to see that is I think to my mind, what is very important is EMI is important, but EMI should not decide everything in life. You must possibly take what you like, make even a small surplus. Instead of clearing the loan in 2 years, probably you'll clear it in 3 years. Or instead of owning a great car, an excellent car, and 2 years from the job, probably you'll buy the car 4 years from now. But I think it's worth it because you are clear about what you want, you are building for your future, and a little bit of trade-off at an appropriate time is not a bad idea. So I mean, that would be my take on it. I think yes, certainly these issues are important. We need to seriously look at and see to what extent we can simplify or we can modulate the pressures arising out of some of these issues. I think they are very important. Yeah, sure. I would suggest, I think they should come and experience this institute. This is a greatly growing institution. It has got a very balanced infrastructure. There is good education possible here, and there is a good opportunity to explore themselves. And I would wish them all the best to do their best in terms of trying to seek an admission in this institute and do well in their career. And we'll be happy to have them here. And if they are able to find a job elsewhere, our best wishes are with all of them. So I think wherever they are students, and they should do wonderfully well. And if they come to IIM Indore, they become our students. To that extent, we pay a little bit more attention to them. But wherever students are students, and they should do absolutely well. I would say the very best wishes to all of them so that they excel in what they want to do.